Let's talk about variables. We use variables to temporarily store data in the computer memory. You can store the name of a user, the age, the height, and many more. To declare a variable, you start by typing the name of the variable, height, and add an equal sign and a value. In our case, let's type 7.5. So we are storing the height, which is 7.5, into the computer's memory and keeping the memory's location in height, so we can read and update the value. Let's print out the value of our variable, height. Instead of printing out Python for beginners, let's type height. So we clear everything here and replace that with height. Notice how height is not in parentheses. It's because we do not want to spell out height. We actually want the value of height, so we do that without the parentheses. Now let's save our changes. Let's open our terminal, new terminal, and let's type python app.py to run our program. Python app.py. Again, because I have different versions of Python on my machine, I'm going to specify which version I want to use. So you can see the value of height being printed in the console. What are data types? Data types basically describes a value or data, tells what kind of data and operations that can be performed. Let's take a look at some of the supported data types in Python. Our variable height here is of type float. Any decimal number is of type float in Python. Let's create another variable to store an integer, also known as int. Ints are positive or negative whole numbers. Type age equal to 18. So now we've created a variable called age and stored 18, which is of type int in memory. Boolean is another data type in Python, which only holds one of two values, true or false. Let's create a variable to store a value of type bool. Type s_d equal sign true. Let's create another Boolean variable. Type is_raining equal sign false. Notice how I typed true and false with capital T and F. The last data type that we will talk about in this lesson is strings. Strings are data types in Python which describes series of characters enclosed in parentheses. Let's create a variable to store data of type string. Type name equal sign open parentheses dev tree close parentheses. Let's go ahead and print to the console the variables we created. Type print open brackets the variable name and close brackets. Let's repeat that for all the variables we have here. Now let's save our code and let's run our program. Open the terminal and type python space app.py. And as you can see, our variables are being displayed in the console. Congratulations on completing this lesson on data types and variables. See you in the next video. Great. Now that you are familiar with how to run your Python scripts using the terminal, let's look at the simpler alternative to running your Python scripts using VS Code. Now head to the extension tab, which is this icon here, and let's search for Python in the extension tab. Hit enter, and we download the first one from Microsoft. Okay, so this is going to help us run and debug our Python code in VS Code. So click on install. Now we have our Python extension installed. Let's go back to our code, click on this, and then now on the top right corner you see a play button, right? This is actually the run button in VS Code. So now we can easily run our code by clicking on this button instead of opening a terminal and then typing Python space app.py or Python space our script name every single time. Okay, so if we click on this, it's going to actually run our code. So you can see we have the same output as we did typing Python app.py. Okay, for reference, let me just type it again so that you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I have different versions of Python, so I'm going to go with Python 3.app.py, and you can see there's no difference, right? So this is the simpler way of writing your code using Visual Studio Code. There are a lot of shortcuts like this in VS Code, and as we go on with this course, you get to know a lot of them. Okay, so see you in the next video.